nearly impossible to understand people.
Yes.
So
It's not like they are talking too fast. It's because our brains are not used to it. So it seems that they are talking too fast, but actually what's happening is our brain is too slow, at least for that specific segment or specific language.
well, there is a kind of familiarity that you have with the way that people speak the language who are around you. And I think that we become sensitive to how they talk and kind of pick it up in a kind of a subconscious way. And then so when other people are not using those same patterns, you have to really pay attention. It's you have to focus a lot more because of the way that they say each word and because of what words they use. I've noticed that one of the hardest things with learning another language is not actually the more complicated expressions of the language, where if you take the Latin roots and then you apply them to fields like medicine and science and philosophy, you can still understand some very complex topics that are usually high level topics that you wouldn't normally start speaking until you're quite old through a natural progression through society. But it's when you try to understand the very basic expressions where there are idioms that change from language to language so that the term in English is colloquialisms, but I'm trying to think of what it is. Um,
I understand in Portuguese we have a similar word for colloquialism.
Yeah, and so it's those things that are actually sometimes feel borderline impossible to understand because every single person you talk to might have a different set of colloquialisms they use to express themselves. And so there's a chance that no matter how much slang you learn, no matter how many regional sort of dialects you learn, you can still meet somebody who talks in a way that you just really struggle to understand. Like I'm fluent in Spanish, and if I sit with somebody and I talk to them, and and if they can't speak English, I can have a real conversation with them because they will try to understand what I'm saying. We'll try and figure out what I'm trying to say and what they're saying, and we can use the language to talk about Spanish itself. Um, but if they know more English, it'll be frustrating for them to do that. And so I can understand pretty much any topic in Spanish if somebody really wants to talk to me about it. But if I talk to somebody from Argentina, it's almost impossible for me to understand if they're just expressing even very basic concepts because they'll be saying things like, pocho, and I'm like, what is pocho? I don't know what that is, but they're saying what I would know that and most people know is pollo. And it's something that would be very simple in a sense to translate in my mind. I can go, you know, pocho or I don't know, like maybe they say semáforo or something like that. Or maybe that's Castilian Spanish for like semáforo. Um, but it's those little things sometimes that stop you from really understanding what somebody is saying, even though it should be simple. It seems like it should be easy. And so you have to develop familiarity with a person or a culture, either by living within that culture or by talking to a single person a lot to have those things become familiar. And so you don't need to feel like maybe you don't know what you're doing sometimes if you're talking to somebody and it's complex at first.
Yes. The key word here is familiarity. It all comes down to this. So even in Brazil, it happens as well. For example, there is some people. Uh, it's a place called Belo Horizonte and also Minas Gerais. They talk so fast that we can't understand them. But for them, it's just the way they talk. And not only they talk fast, they comprise a lot of words, and even it's like they create a new word, but they pick together five and turn them into one, and we can't understand them if we don't ask specifically what they were trying to convey because they talk so fast. So it happens, and it seems to be fast because I'm not familiarized with the way they talk. But if I live there in a few weeks or months, it's going to be second nature for me or for any other Brazilian. So it's a natural language phenomenon. And the same
Yeah.
happens with programming languages. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I just I agree. It's very important to have back and forth uh, conversation to familiarize yourself with the language. Like, I think I'm fairly unique in a certain sense from where I am, because the way that I learned French, for example, was that I did 4 levels of an audio course with this program called Pimsleur. And then after doing that, I just read the news because I could read a paragraph, learn each word, make sure I knew everything in the paragraph, then read it again. And then the next day, I'd add another paragraph. I'd learn each word until I could read the whole paragraph. Then I'd read the first 2 paragraphs. And then I'd keep doing this until I could read the whole article. And then I'd read it over and over again. And then I started to read old French literature this way because I could get the English and the French versions side by side. But I didn't really have anybody to talk to in French. I just learned a lot of French. I learned the grammar. I learned a lot of, sentence construction and uses of it. But I because of the way that writing works, you're not actually using necessarily a lot of very basic sentence construction that people will use to say, go do this thing. Here's what I did. Here's what's happening right now. Instead, you're using things that are a lot more descriptive. They're describing ideas, metaphors, systems of some kind. And so the thing that I noticed that happened for me is that a lot of very basic French is almost incomprehensible to me because I just read so much. And so when I try to listen to somebody with all the slang and the sentence construction that my mind hasn't been used to creating on its own, it's just very hard to understand people. And so I used Netflix. I can watch Netflix with the subtitles in French. I can understand everything that gets said in an episode, but if I turn the subtitles off, I can't understand anything.
Mm. There is a reason for that, because there is a specific part here in our the left side of our brains and the front side. I forgot the technical name, but it's called broca. This specific part handles our speaking, and there is another one at the left side of our brains near our ears. It's called Wernicke, and it's dedicated to handle uh, listening, writing, and reading. So, listening, writing, and reading, this part. Speaking, specifically this part. That's why it's so common for us when we are learning a new language. For example, in my case, I like Japanese, and I can understand, I can read, so barely read, it's very difficult, but I can somehow read, I can somehow understand or listen, and I can also write some things. But when it comes to speak in Japanese, it's a totally different game. And the reason why it happens in
Yeah.
every single human is because of this separation. They have some connections between them, but there is some kind of precedence to this area, which coordinates spoken language over the other one. So sometimes we may take years learning a language, but if we don't talk in the target language, even though we have studied for so long, it sounds like we are just beginning to learn the language.
Yeah, and what's really funny is it's the exact same with writing code because I've been learning how to code in Java, of course, and while learning the basic Java, I could make sense out of all the code, and I learned to read all of the code and understand, the what the dot operator is doing, and that the parentheses are executing the line of code and calling a method and stuff like that, and I could understand it all. But as soon as I sat down to actually type it all out, I didn't remember, oh, okay, I have to end each line with a semicolon or an open bracket to embody another uh, body of code. And so it's the same thing. If you're not actually using the language, you're not organizing it in your mind into something you're going to say. And just because of the way that my mind works, like, I never made it a point to actually think in French or to actually think in Spanish because I just wanted to use them to communicate with other people, and I was just using them to read. And so when I try to talk, I'm always trying to create words. I'm trying to make stuff out of English. I'm always trying to use English and then translate it into French instead of getting used to just thinking in French or speaking in French or Spanish. And I've noticed that this is actually such has such a strong effect on me that, like, when I first started learning Spanish, because of how direct and to the point it was, I had certain things that made me anxious when I was talking to people in English. But when I spoke in Spanish, I didn't have those feelings. I could just focus on the Spanish and speak, and it was like a different, almost like a different world that my mind went into. And so I think our minds, depending on how you are, can be structured very differently from language to language. Like I met a girl when I was in Switzerland who she spoke like French, Italian, Spanish, and like, what was it, Dutch or something like that. She spoke like 5 or 6 languages, but she said she'd learned them all growing up, and she sort of felt like none of them really felt like natural to her, and she had to think of words a lot and had to try and think of what she wanted to say even though she knew all these languages. And she said she felt kind of like she was in a morass, just
Mm.
like it didn't
Could you
feel
repeat
good.
this word? Morass?
uh yeah, it's sort of like a bog or a marsh, like you're stuck, you're going through the
Mm.
mud, kind of like it's just not natural. And so language is so embedded in our minds and the way we experience the world, um that we don't really think about, because very naturally you express yourself through the language that you have to do that, and we have a tendency to express ourselves. We like to express ourselves. uh, and then, so if you stop identifying with a certain language as you and your way of expressing yourself, I think it can have an interesting psychological effect on a person. Like, it's like being someone who doesn't have a country. You just feel like you don't really belong anywhere, but you can kind of go to a bunch of different places.
There's a perfect kind of people for that. Let me just check how to pronounce this in English, because they don't have any specific nationality. Gypsies. Are you familiar with them?
Yeah, yeah.
Gypsies. They don't have a specific nationality. They they just move whenever they want to. I kind of envy them in this way, but they they are not attached deeply to any kind of culture or language besides their own. So that's really interesting.
That's a great analogy. Yeah. And I just wanted to respond to that comment about learning French and the accent. Um, the thing that I would recommend for that is listening to a sentence being said in French and then saying it back. Just really focus on the accent. Like, I got the movie Amelie, and I watched it over and over again for the way that they said everything, because I knew I wanted like that accent. Euh, alors, je peux parler français et j'ai un accent un peu naturel. So it sounds like what I said is, I can speak French with a fairly natural sounding accent, at least compared to like a lot of people. And I got a lot of compliments about it when I was in France. They told me I spoke really good French.
Yeah, and they are very
They're very picky.
Yeah, they are very picky with their language. They hate when we pronounce it incorrectly.
Yeah. No, I like immediately got like as soon as I got off the plane, the first woman I talked to said, "Wow, you speak really good French." It was like when I went to Mexico or Guatemala, people would always tell me, they'd go, "Wow, you speak really great Spanish." But I didn't expect that to keep happening when I went to France. I was like, they're not gonna, you know.
You are doing it correctly. The
Yeah.
same applies for language, for everything that we use when we are trying to learn a new language, or when we are trying to improve the conscious learning of our own native tongue. In my case, Portuguese. In your case, English. When we are studying, uh, consciously studying grammar, for example, everything applies for programming languages. It's the same thing. The main difference relies on the fact that in spoken language, as the name suggests, we are speaking. So the end goal is to speak with other persons, with other ones, with or talk to the other people. In programming, the end goal is to write. That's the difference. So the end goal, the form is different, but at the end of the day, they still share the same objective to talk to other being, either it be the computer or the other programmers that are going to read your code, and eventually this code will translate in something useful in society. For example, here we are using this StreamYard tool. It's code. It's also zeros and ones, and it's also a form of communication. So programming language is a form of they are a form of communication, as well as English, Spanish, French, whatever. Even even like gesture language. Here in Brazil, it's called Libra. It's a way for deaf people to communicate. I don't know how to do it, but they use
Um,
symbols and gestures to talk to each other. It's also a form of communication. All of these three categories or things, at the root, they are the same. And the same method that we use for learning each one of them applies for each other. They 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 share this commonality. So
yeah.
just to finish this part, I'm going to show you, Andrew, and a few other guys here in the live stream, a real code that we use. So it's very important to see that as soon as possible when we are learning programming, because let's suppose you have the opportunity to go to China without any costs. Someone's going to pay you to go there just to learn Chinese. That's way superior than staying in your house learning books or reading books or watching some videos. Even if you have the best books, the best videos, the best courses, if you are in your house learn trying to learn Chinese, it's uh, way inferior than just going to China and trying to figure out how they talk to each other, and also doing the courses, the reading, and the talking with other people there in China. So, in practical terms, when we are trying to learn a new language, it's very rare to have this opportunity to go to the specific country that has the most people talking that target language and just learn the language there alongside them, living with them. Because most of the times we don't have money for that. That's it. But in programming languages, it's really cheap to just download some real code, some real code base and delve into it and try to understand, try to figure out, and you are going to suffer a lot in the beginning, but it's way better than just trying to study about it. It's a immersion. So in programming language, it's really easy to immerse ourselves in the target language because we just download it. It's really easy. I will teach you how to do that eventually. And that's it. You have the most quality source of information in the target programming language at your fingertips. So unfortunately, the same doesn't happen in human language like English, French, and so on, or Chinese. It's way harder to have that same source, quality of source, or source of quality at our fingertips. I don't know. What have you guys understood about this analogy and explanation, especially you, Andrew? Am I talking too much?
Well, as I understand it, so when you talk about changing languages, you mean like from Java to C++ or Python or something like that. And I think that what this gets to the heart of is that with code, there is a system of thought that you need to learn. Like you recommended that I read clean code along with, getting into Java with head first Java. And so with code, that system of organization that you learn is also a part of language. We organize thoughts in the same way. If I have a subject, it needs a verb in order to act upon an object. In Japanese, you might switch the order of those things in reverse. Um, so I would say, Andrew, I am. I would say, Andrew Des instead of I am Andrew. But the idea of the organization that I want to do is the same. And so in coding, you do the same thing. You have to figure out, okay, I need this, I need to define a object, and then I need that object to be called, and I need it to take certain actions. And so when you switch from Python to Java or some other language, you have to figure out how that language calls and creates and executes and does all of these different things. But once you figure that out, then you can code in that language, and those steps are a lot more similar because you don't need an entirely new dictionary to do it. You just need a reorganization of the terms and the very basic structure of grammar itself, sort of like switching the word order in Japanese versus English.
Yes, exactly. It's it becomes easier and easier to pick new languages as we acquire a new one. So, and I use the term acquire because I deeply like the works from Stephen Krashen. He's a linguistic, uh, and he always emphasized the difference between acquiring a new language than learning a new language. So to use the language, the target language, is better than to just study the language. One thing doesn't exclude the other, but there is a precedence. So first we use the language, and then we study the language. So one thing about the other. This proper order favor proper learning. The same applies for programming languages as well. So, for example, in the beginning, when I was trying to learn Java, I I was totally lost, totally lost. I wasted so much time just trying to learn the basics, the syntax. For example, the public static void main. I
Right.
lost
I
so many
puzzled over
hours on this.
I too puzzled over that for a long time the other day. I was like, I
I
should I should be learning something else, but I was like, I can't. I have to understand what all of these terms mean.
it I always I have this I at the time I choose to to deal with this in that way. But nowadays, I don't choose that anymore because it's going to be so fast if you just ignore it for now. So you ignore this basic thing here for now. I know it's hard to do that for us and for those kind of people that tend to think like us. But you just ignore it for now, and you keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And by a side effect of keeping going, this thing that you have ignored previously is going to become very clear because this thing is not separated at all from all these other things that you kept going learning. So this basic
That's
thing
the
is being carried together, and but just eventually you clearly see that. So it's like you are still trying to you are still going to learn the public static void main very clearly alongside the other things that you are learning, but not so clearly in the beginning. But eventually it will become clear.
But yeah, and that's the trade-off that I think happens where you can look at something you don't understand and you can go, okay, I think if I keep reading, the author is going to explain this. But sometimes what can occur is the things that you don't understand up front, as you keep reading, the author actually goes into more and more depth about how to apply those concepts that you needed to understand in order to understand what he's talking about. Now, it's like trying to jump into understanding someone talking about quantum physics when you don't have a more basic understanding of, how physics and geometry and these kinds of things work. And so that's where it can be a little bit tricky, is that you'll probably get the information that you need, but also if you take that time to stop and learn all of those things, you are going to use public, you are going to use void, you are going to, use the parentheses, um, to execute a line of code. And so if you stop and go, okay, so what do these things really mean? It can also be very informative. Like I can say, like, I don't have a full comprehension of it, but I can understand it well enough. Public means that that line of code can be accessed by the JVM. Static is the one I can't quite remember. Void means it's not going to return a value. So that line of code, you're not going to execute it and output like an integer or a string or anything that's going to go back into the system. Instead, there's no line of code getting output. It's just contained in that line. It's being used essentially so that the JVM can read the following code. Um, and then, of course, you have string, and then you have the string array, and you go, okay, so this array means that I can store all of these values in here. It's not being used for that there, but at least then I know, okay, it's treating it as an array. I know how an array works. And so what value is stored there right now, I think, is 0. It just stores 0 automatically because you're not telling it to store a value. And so it's just a way for, and then you have uh the you have args, as you told me, like that's the name of that array. And this lets the JVM just access the following code. And so even though I don't know why it needs that to access the following code, and as you were telling me, that line isn't even necessarily there anymore, you don't necessarily need to use that. I don't know why it is that way, but I get a general idea of what the purpose of each of those things is, what part they normally play in code, and why I'm writing that line, which is why I wanted to do that. Because one thing I just hate doing is I hate doing something when I don't know what it does.
I
I
understand. I totally understand
so
this.
I just have to stop and learn.
I will just advise you to not go so deep in the rabbit hole for that. So I tend to use the rule of three. So it's going to happen again. You are going to read some code, some new syntax, some new annotations, and so on. That you are going to try to understand them. Okay, I got it. But only three layers deep. Because if you go too deep on them, because there are so many layers, you are going to find them, because as you dig them, you are
As
going
you
to
go
find
on.
them
Yeah.
as you go on, and you are going to waste a lot of time to do that, because they are not needed at all, at least in the first year.
Mm.
And yeah, you're not going to waste totally, because you are going to learn something new, and that's good. But unfortunately, our brains are going to forget, or forget almost everything that we have learned after the three layers. It's just an arbitrary number, just to have a good number, but there's nothing special in this number. But it's just a good rule of thumb to follow, because I have done that. I have some students also have done that. We try to understand, to go deep, and to really figure out the fundamentals and so on. And later on, we just totally forgot almost everything that we have learned, because of one thing: we don't use them explicitly.
Well, that's where I think it's valuable for me to approach things this way, is that it gives me context in my mind that helps me to not forget what I've learned, because all of the pieces build on each other. And so it's like, one thing I learned from going down that path the other day was that everything in Java has to return a value. It's an int, or it's a string, or it's void. Now, the concept of void is really hard to understand at first, but then when you get that, you can use it, just to not return a value to Java of some kind. It just gives a better understanding. Like, I think you can create an object on the heap using void, but
Mm.
not return a
There
value in that
is
moment.
special object called void with a capital V. You
Yeah.
can you can play with it later on,
And then
but
that
it's
will.
not recommended to use it nowadays. It is a thing of the past.
Oh, really? So you wouldn't necessarily want to make an object in the heap that you reference later. Um,
Yes, because of the garbage collector and memory management. There is some reasons to this. And remember, I'm not saying don't don't go deeper. Don't study
oh,
the
that's just why
fundamental.
I did that. I mean, that's just me personally. Yeah.
I totally understand it. I also do that. The only concern that I have is that I use the profession as a way to get a living, to pay the bills, so to cover the basics. And sometimes, most of the times actually, when I'm teaching someone, I need to make this person get the result the fastest way possible,
Yeah.
even if we miss some parts in the way, because I know that these parts are going to show up again. So it's not like they are not going to show up again. So my objective with you and other students is to make you get a job as a software programmer, as a software engineer, and that's it. It's not glamorous, it's not big deal, it's just the basic. And I know that these students are going to learn everything that they need to learn to do the job. And these specific students that have this approach of going deeper and deeper, they have a disadvantage at the beginning, because there is two kinds of students: those that just don't care, just I just want the money, I just want to pay my bills. I don't care about void. I don't care about public static void main. I don't care at all. I couldn't care less. But I need to pay my bills, and you are saying that I will need to just know enough to have it. So I will bear with it, and I will tolerate these code things that you are teaching me, and that's it. And the other one, other student that try to go deeper and deeper and really understand, so they can remember and figure out and make sense of things, so they have a structure to put their knowledge on, so it doesn't fall away. these students, it takes more time to them or for them to really get the job. And
Mm.
paradoxically, the other one that just don't care about this stuff, they get the job fast.
That's
So that's
funny.
my only concern. But in
Well,
any way, I'm trying to make you not go deeper in your study. It's just this practical thing that I'm thinking of.
yeah, well, what happens for me is if I can't understand what is happening in the stuff that I'm reading, it becomes really, really hard for me to retain any information a lot of the time. I get so confused that I feel like I'm not understand I'm just not understanding what I'm looking at. But again, you might be right that if I just kept reading, all of my concerns would be addressed somewhere as I went. And then I could go back and I could look back at the old parts and start over and go back through, and it probably would be faster. Um, but it was very interesting. I mean, I just took a day basically to really learn like a lot of what these terms meant and how they all fit together, and did kind of treat it like a puzzle. Like I really want to understand these pieces, and it gave me a lot more context and sense of what I was doing, because there are concepts that are very foreign to you before you start coding that become a lot more, you become a lot more familiar with them as you go, where it's like you have to learn how the program is using memory, and learning that there's integers and floats and doubles and all of these different data types, and that they use different amounts of memory, and that a double can store an integer, but an or wait, no, what is it, the big, there's like a long can store an integer, but an integer can't store a long, and an integer can store a bit, but a bit can't store an integer, and stuff like this. You get a sense of, okay, while people are coding, while I'm doing this, memory management is really important. I have to think about what kind of data I'm trying to generate, how to use the memory most efficiently, and then what's the language of that in the code. Well, that's it. That's an object going on a heap. And then when the memory management runs, that object is going to get thrown out if it is no longer referring to something. And so like the better that or if something is no longer being referred to, really, I guess, since you can have like B
It's
equals
like an
C.
orphan. If they have no
Yeah.
parents, orphan objects are going to be deleted to free memory. And
Yeah.
most developers don't know anything that you have just said.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. I mean, to
They
me, that's
just code.
pretty essential.
They are
Like,
code monkeys. They are called code monkeys because, or, yeah, it's a funny name, but
it's
it's
just
like a
mashing away on their keyboards. Like,
exactly.
no,
And
that's funny.
and and at the end of the day, they still manage to do the job, and they are paid for that most of the time. That's the some people in our industry, they refer to two main stereotypes. The code monkey, they are also called programmers or coders, and the software engineers. So your approach is software engineering.
Hmm.
It takes longer. You go deeper. You really know your stuff. You are going to become the real deal. And that's going to pay a lot of
All
money.
right.
You are going to earn, not just pay the bills, but you are going to don't care about the bills anymore because you have so many resources and learning and stuff. You can create software applications that make you rich, and courses and books and so on. That's software engineering. Unfortunately, the market wants most of the time the coders, the code monkeys, the developers. So, and another important thing, software engineering, it takes way longer to really become a software engineer. And most of people who tends to follow this path, they are not going to be willing to apply to jobs because of imposter syndrome. I'm gonna share eventually a really good article about imposter syndrome. And unfortunately, these people, which they are the real deal, most of them are unemployed because they are just uh, thinking that they are not enough for the job, so they just don't apply. But those who surpass this limitation, this imposter syndrome, and so on, they will have lots of money and so on, everything that I have mentioned before. But unfortunately, in the first years, I have seen in the first 5 years of their careers, of their learning path, they don't earn any money because of imposter syndrome. So it takes way more time.
That actually speaks to the reason that I didn't get into coding in a fuller way sooner, because I've always had an interest in code. Even when I was a little kid, they asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up, when I was in second grade. So I was like 7 years old, and I told them I wanted to be a programmer. But the reason that I didn't get into it as an adult, except a little bit, I did a bit of Python and just read, a computer science book, just the first part of that. But the reason I didn't get into it was it seemed like it would be a really long journey to hit the point where I could actually do anything, where I'd have the ability to write code that would be relevant. Uh, but what you're talking about definitely, I understand, makes it a lot more accessible because it is about debugging. It's about being able to read code and see where mistakes have been made, correct those mistakes, understand how all the pieces of code fit together rather than coming up with some vision for a program you want to write and writing the whole thing and having the ability to do that. Yeah, and so you can get, it seems like you can get into coding in an introductory way, and like you said, they'll teach you and how to code on the job, because that first year that you're coding, they're expecting you to learn how it all works and pick up as you go along. They're not expecting you to be this master coder who's some
Mm. You
complete
are going to
genius.
be, you are going to pretend that you are that rockstar coder. You are going to pretend that because they are not going to give you a job if you don't have if you are not already a professional or someone who claims to be a professional.
I just
That's
mean that you don't.
another. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just mean that you don't have to have total mastery of all the concepts where you walk in and say, I'm really this great at it, and you really are that great at it. You just have to understand the fundamentals. You have to understand how all the pieces fit together, what everything does, and be able to analyze how all of
Yeah,
those parts fit. And
and
that's a lot more accessible than what I
exactly,
thought it would have to be.
a lot more accessible. Most of the time, you are not going to create anything from scratch in the job, in the developer or programming job. It's very rare to have this opportunity to create something from scratch. For example, system out print that you have read in the book. It's a sim. It's a sim to use it in real code. We never use it. We never do
Which
real work.
which one? I didn't understand. I'm sorry.
Uh, System out print LM.
Oh yeah,
Reload,
right,
hello world, for example.
right,
This statement, it's a lie. It's a total lie in our educational
hmm.
industry regarding specific for software development, because the hello world that we tend to use as our first comment in any programming language, we are never going to need it. We are never going to use it. And if we try to use it in real code, we are going to, to the people are going to laugh at us and are going to please remove this shit from the code. So you have a really chess between real world things that we need to know, and courses, books, and so on. I still use and recommend some courses and books and so on because they have their value. But as soon as possible, I try to show real code to the student. They will get shocked. They will have, they will fear the code. They will, no, I don't understand anything that's happening. But it's better to have this shock at the beginning than to have it when you first get your real job and you have this kind of awful experience in a real world scenario that you need to make things happen, and they are going to throw at you a bunch of tasks. And if you haven't seen real code before, you are going to have nightmares in each single night that you work at the company, because it's the pressure is too much most of the time. And if you haven't seen real code before, only books and courses and so on, you're probably going to give up, and you are going to say that's not for me. I'm a fraud. I'm an imposter. And so on. I have seen that so many times in my job, and also almost I have done that in my when it happened to me, because it happened to me. So my first day at my real job, I I was totally lost, trying to give up. I I couldn't even get up um, at the early morning after I wake up. When I the thought of going to work frightened me, because I knew that I wasn't qualified at all for that job, even though I have passed the last 3 years studying everything that I have found online. So I knew everything, theoretically speaking, about programming, but I haven't seen real code. That was my biggest flaw, and I try to avoid that for my students. So eventually, I will show you some real code, and I will teach you how to download it in your machine, and you are going to be afraid of it. So it's too much. It's too much, but it's for the greater good. You are going to be afraid, but you are going also going to have a great opportunity to learn real world scenario.
Yeah, I was thinking as you were talking that that is something that would, certainly help. I've seen real code because uh, my ex-girlfriend was a coder. I don't remember what language she used. It was something really specific to like the pharmaceutical industry. Uh, I don't even remember the name, but it had like the same basic, qualities as other code. And it was like one day she had to find a function call within the code that there was some function that was being called by some line of code and nobody knew where it was or what it was doing, and so she just had to like go through it until she found that particular module. And I found that very interesting, and I think like that is one of the advantages of having a real interest in the structure of code, is that if you really have that interest, then you're going to like things like just reading through lines of code and seeing how all the pieces fit together like a puzzle. And so even if you're a little slower at first and you're taking your time, or you just keep on going and you pick up the pieces as you go along, I think that it does make it feel less intimidating, because even though I couldn't understand the code precisely, I also read through the code for a while just looking for stuff and seeing if I could see how the pieces fit together. And it wasn't impossible to understand anything. I just didn't have a lot to contribute really. Uh,
Yeah, it's
but
not impossible. It's just really so hard and annoying. I hate that. It's the worst part of my job, because you need to try to understand code that you haven't write, and you wouldn't write like that. So
That's
they and there is a tendency or a choice for most developers to really complicate things. So it's very rare, for example, to see a if-else statement in real code.
hmm,
It's very rare.
hmm.
And they even try to mock you if you try to use an if-else statement. They will try to say that you are doing it wrong, that's not the best approach, that's not so simple like that, and they will try to complicate everything just to avoid using a simple if else statement. And it's going to
Huh.
be way harder to understand the code because of that.
Interesting. That well, I was thinking as I was reading that learning to understand how other people are putting things together in a way that's wrong must be a big part of the job. And that would be less satisfying, I think, than reading clean code or reading a well-designed program. Uh, but I've kept thinking to myself, okay, I have to learn to recognize what other coders are doing and how they're thinking and the mistakes that they are making. And to know, how to improve on those things because I can imagine that will be just a very core part of the job.
Yes, I try to accept that and pretend that I like it, but it's almost 8 years now and I still don't like it. For example, at Epic Games right now, I need to fix some smoke tests, which is a specific kind of test that we need to create. And it's 2 weeks. I still can't understand what those guys are doing, and I totally hate that because 2 weeks just to fix some six specific tests that
Is
I need
this
to fix.
what is it related to? Is that related to Unreal Engine in some way?
In this case, it's not. It's from the account portal, which is
Oh,
a
okay.
specific page that we create our accounts. So Unreal Engine, I haven't touched it yet, and probably I won't because it's a specific separated department dedicated to it, and it's different from mine. So my department takes care of account portal, age verification, and social interactions, and so on. And the Unreal Engine, it's the engine of the game itself. So it's a totally
Yeah.
different beast.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I think I imagine that to work in the Unreal Engine would probably be for you. I think that would be something more satisfying than what you've been talking about a little bit if you could be able
I don't
to
know.
do something. It's like more creative.
Yeah, probably, but it's outside my expertise. So probably they won't hire me to do it all, to do it. I will. I want to have the opportunity to do that. But if I change my positioning, as I mentioned before to you, positioning is the most important thing when it comes to how you present yourself to the world, and it also applies to the jobs. So if you present yourself as someone trying to learn, for example, I'm learning, I'm a student, I'm passionate about this, they won't give you the opportunity because they don't care about any of this.
I understand that idea. I think like right now my mind is breaking it down into two things. Like there's debugging and and writing code that performs a certain specific function. And then there is something that I think is what building an engine like that would be more about, which is thinking algorithmically, where you think about developing uh code that's going to essentially compress or break things down. Like I was thinking about this with language the other day. If I say to you, an elephant, I have essentially used a compression algorithm that we share to send information, a large amount of information in a very small packet of information. Elephant causes you to create this picture that includes a biology, chemistry, it includes behaviors, it includes instincts, it includes patterns, color, it includes a skeletal structure, muscles, a digestive system. All of these things are in that one simple compression term, elephant. And a lot of the more satisfying coding I think that you can do involves learning to take information and understand the way to replicate that information in ways that are highly efficient, that are abstract from from the way that we normally think about information, but become something that is very compressible. So, like, if you want to create a sphere or a circle or something like that, you have to think about how all of these points relate to each other mathematically, and then how to convert that mathematical relationship of the points to the pixels on the screen. And you have to do that mathematically too, to essentially take in the field of pixels and then think about how that relates to the proportions of the circle or the sphere. And so when you're thinking through information in that way, uh, I think it's logic. It's like a puzzle. It's, you're using math and geometry, and you're putting together so many pieces, and you're thinking of how to convert it too into other systems, into the pixels, into the language of the programming itself. And I think that that's where things get really interesting if you
Yes.
have a drive to go in that direction. But I think it's also probably a field that's hard to stand out in to a degree, because when somebody figures it out, then everybody just uses the thing that they figured out. It's like Unreal Engine. Game designers used to design separate engines for every single game that got made. If you're playing games on the Super Nintendo, like, those developers, I think generally designed their games from scratch. They all had a unique look. You go to the Nintendo 64, a lot of those developers were designing their own game engines. But now, there's very few game designers who use a different engine other than Unreal. Most game designers use Unreal. Hideo Kojima uses his own engine that he developed. Capcom, like for the Resident Evil series, they use their own game engine.
Mhm.
Uh, it's called
Because they are
Frostbite.
trying to do something outside the box. But most games, they just need to be inside the box. So the box meaning Unreal Engine, Godot, for example, Unity, and that's the box. And most games are fine inside the box, but some outsiders, like Hideo Kojima, for example, he he is not willing to be inside a box. So they create an
He's
hexagon,
the
for example.
he is the epitome of not willing to be inside the box.
Exactly.
Dude's
So
interesting.
there is a place for both of them, and
Yeah.
I also prefer to be outside the box. I have an analogy that I have created. So there is a guy, Bashar, you know him. Most guys here in the live don't even know what we are talking about. But there he has a meditation called thinking outside the box. And I have done it. It's really fascinating. And I have come to the conclusion that I have created an hexagon for myself. So I'm not inside the box anymore, but
A
I'm
what?
inside hexagon. Let me
What was
check.
that?
Let me check the pronunciation. Just a moment.
Oh, sure.
Hexagon. Mm, Hexagon. That's the
Oh,
correct
hexagon.
hexagon. So I have created a hexagon for myself and I'm inside it, but I'm still inside that hexagon.
Oh,
At
I
least
see.
I'm not inside the box anymore.
Is it you have a relationship to like the honeycomb structure?
Yes, exactly. But it's just a way of mentioning that some people create another structure to live inside it. And I think Hideo Kojima is an example, you and I. But most of the time, for example, for a job, if you, for a normal job, if you think outside the box, you're going to be in trouble and probably are going to be fired the next day. So
Yeah,
there is
I
a
have
place for both
experience with that.
scenarios. I also had that experience. 2 times. I was dumb to make it happen 2 times. If
Oh
it
wow.
was only 1 time, I could attribute that to ignorance, but I have done it in a second time. So the second time was my dumbness.
People don't like things that they can't understand and that kind of break free of the patterns that are more controlled, even if the new model that you present might be better than the ones that we've been using. They look at it and they go, well, here are the disadvantages of the thing that you're presenting. And it's like that phrase where we say the devil you know is better than the one you don't. They go, even if the way that we are doing things is flawed, we don't want to consider the possibility that there's a better way to do things if there are disadvantages in the present moment to doing things that way. Like I worked with kids, and one of the programs that we were taught, I learned this program as part of my training, but a lot of the other teachers didn't do it, I don't think, because it was optional. And it taught a completely different way to interact with kids. And what it taught was that there are three things you really need to know about children and really anybody's psychology. There are three levels. It's sort of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The first level is safety. If a person doesn't have safety, you can't really communicate anything else to them because their main concern is going to be, I'm physically feeling unsafe. So it's very hard to have anything else really matter.
Mm.
But that's not a mental kind of process. It's more emotional. The next thing above that, though, in the hierarchy is connection. If a person doesn't have connection, they feel a very strong lack. So they need to have society be seeing them and hearing them and understanding them, responding to them, reaching out to them, treating them fairly, just having these very basic structures of social connection. Once you have that, another part of you relaxes more and you feel connected, you feel like you belong, you don't feel like an outsider. And at that point, and you feel like your needs matter. And at that point, you get to the third level, which is executive function, which is reason. So with kids, you might try to reason to them. You say, if you're quiet, if you're quiet, I'll give you something. And then the kid does whatever you told him not to do anyway. They're really loud anyway. And you say, you were going to get this thing you wanted. So why weren't you just quiet? Wouldn't it make sense for you to do what I said so you could have the thing that you wanted? But the child in that level is feeling disconnected because they don't know it exactly, but they don't feel like they're being seen or heard really in an empathetic way, in a truly connected way, because you're trying to bribe them to get them to do something you want instead of talking to them and really understanding their feelings and making them feel like their feelings matter and like they belong. Uh, but once you have them feeling like they belong, then you can go to that level of reason and you can say, hey, look, if you are quiet, then that will be more pleasant for everybody. And it's good to learn to calm yourself. You're going to need this skill in your life to relax and focus on things because that's an important part of life is to be able to focus and just relax and take in information and make choices that create an environment that is, a good environment for you to live in. And you can start to have more intellectual discussions. But the thing that I found was that coming from these methods of teaching meant that when I was working with kids, I couldn't snap at them. I couldn't yell at them. I didn't want to do these things anyway. But a lot of other teachers would ultimately, where you get frustrated and they yell at the kids and they go, I need you to be behaving this way and you're not behaving this way. And it comes from a sort of a lack of trust in the child that they want to get along. They want to have a good time. They want to have a good relationship to you as a teacher and to the other kids. But the problem was that when I was trying to talk to the children and really help them to develop these skills for interacting with each other and managing their feelings, and also help them to develop a relationship with me where they could go, hey, this is a person that when I see this person, I don't feel anxious. I don't feel worried. I don't feel like I'm about to be punished or told that I'm bad or wrong for being the way that I am. When I see this person, I feel like this person is kind of like me, and the kids saw me that way and they treated me that way, and the other teachers would look at it, they're like, oh, the kids walk all over him, and he doesn't know how to tell them just to do what he says. And but that's because to me I was building with the kids habits and patterns and a relationship that would be supportive to them over time, because I knew that ultimately that would help them more than just getting them to the next activity, getting them to do what I say, to put on their jerseys so they could go outside, or to sit down and paint, or to go to sleep, or whatever it was, because all of those things that they were having trouble doing were coming from not feeling connected to or not feeling safe, just like that program had taught. And because I was coming from that point of view, though, and the other teachers were like, we need this done right now, you need to get those kids in order. I just, there was no real way for me to
Mhm.
fit in there. And of course, the irony was that I was doing a program that I was taught and that
Mhm.
was understood to be a better way of doing things. It was just the immediate teachers, like they didn't have time for that.
You have committed a sinful act. Do you know? Do you
Apparently.
know sinful act of trying to solve a problem? And
that they
most
were that they
people,
were creating in a sense. Yeah.
they were trying to perpetuate the problem, and you are trying to solve the problem. That's the main reason why they didn't like you.
Yeah. Well, and it was funny too because they couldn't really tell that, like, the real thing that was my real status, like I got I got called into a meeting and they appraised me. They said, here's how you're doing on your job. But what they didn't understand, that the people who were really telling me how I was doing in my job were the kids, and the kids loved me. like I would read a
Yeah,
book to them and they'd all gather around for the book, and they
even if
treated
you
me
follow, even if you
like a
follow
person.
exactly, even if you follow exactly what you have supposed to follow as they asked you to do, it was it was they were just pretending to have that structure, that way of answering and solving issues and problems, and promoting a safe environment for learning so they can connect with the teacher and themselves. And that way their fear or fight, I forgot how to say it in English, but
Fight
there
or
is,
flight
yeah,
instinct.
that mechanism is not activated, so they can deeply learn and remember everything that they need, and so on and so forth. They can even
Yeah.
explicitly told you that, but you are being judged not by them, neither by your students, but by something else there. I call it the culture structure, the local culture structure. You are being judged by this. So if you try to unfollow this culture, local structure, this that is the sinful act. And I
like what you
usually go ahead.
like what you said about uh if else statements in code.
Exactly.
Except that what's funny is that what happens with people who get into these more technical professions, engineering professions, who go through the academic environment, is that that culture, it's not so much a culture of them being afraid of the outsider to some degree. It's just that they judge you for it. Like they're just like, you're not doing things like the way where we've discovered the optimized model to do things and you're just not doing it. Like
Yeah,
like
it's
what's
a
wrong with
club.
you?
It's a kind of club. If you don't follow
Yeah.
the implicit rules of the club, you are going to be kicked out of it.
Well, they're
And
they're they're like they're like, why would you bother trying to figure things out yourself when it's already been figured out by somebody else who they're going to say is much smarter than you anyway?
yeah,
So
and most of the time they are not. They are just normal humans.
yeah,
Most of the times they are just normal people. Sometimes they may have something above the average in their minds. They may really have some deep knowledge or deeper knowledge. But these kind of people, they I have seen that when they really know their stuff, they are kind. They are not pushy. So when people are pushy, they does this make sense? This expression, pushy. It's like trying to
yeah.
put something on you. You need to do this, and if you don't do that, you are out of our our club. When they are
Yeah,
pushy,
it's like a yeah.
they they just don't know their stuff really well.
Well, there's a difference between being assertive and being assertive in a way that does not recognize the person that you're talking to and being assertive with. Like when you're teaching, there's a certain amount of assertiveness that's kind of required where you're going, this is the way to do things. And the student might have like, oh, here's all my ideas about how to do it, you know?
Mhm.
And you go like, this is the way to do things. Um, but if you are really sensitive to your student, then you can look at where they are coming from and you can go, how can I model my understandings so that it can come from where they are? And that's where you have a concept like empathy, um, really being able to see another person's worldview. But that's not really necessary. You just have to go like, here's how it is, and then the other person
Yeah,
responds, and you go, it's okay if you don't do things that way, but here's my professional recommendation. Essentially, like, here is the way that I know to do things. And you can do that with people and with feelings just as much as you can do it with a skill you're trying to teach, since of course feelings are a skill. Like being able to express yourself and have that be understood by other people is a skill, since there is some translation that happens between each person in helping other
perfect.
people see what we are seeing.
Yeah, you really know how to teach people. I'm sure of that. I I tend to boil it down to Shuhari. That's the core of my methodology as a teacher. So in the beginning, I say, do that, do this, don't do that, avoid that, avoid this. And I always remember, you can choose another way. It's going to work if you are really trying to make it happen. It's going to work eventually, even though you are not following what I have told you to do. I just ask you to do, as I said, to really make the best use of your time. But that's just the shoe step. So it's the first stage. The exactly next stage is to not agree with me at all. So the next stage is to break through my limitations as a teacher, my cognitive bias, and so on. So the next step is that, but you have already you are going to already be uh, starting from some base knowledge that you can improve or negate or disagree with, and that's my job, to create this baseline so that you can stay on it, and eventually you can create your baseline totally different from mine, or very similar, or even way better than mine, and it doesn't matter. And when you do that, you are going to the last stage, which is the so shu ha. The last stage is the mastery, and That's why I'm trying to go myself with my teachers.
Yeah, I think there's something interesting about this too, which is um, the the way that we are taught in schools is kind of like that you're gonna forget by the time the test comes around anyway, all of the information that you learned. So what does it matter? Like you'll take the test and then you'll have forgotten all of it. You're just teaching yourself what you need in order to do the test. And so there is a lack of fundamental context in every single field of study. Like I remember being in seventh grade, and one day all of a sudden I was like, man, science is so interesting. How do they make it so boring? All of this
It's
information we
by
have.
design. It's by design. Nowadays, I think like that.
Well,
They make
and
it
so
boring, so you won't touch it later on. You are going to be so bored by it that you are not going to be interested anymore.
you're just going to be a good little utility in society who does your job and has a certain amount of understanding.
They do
But
that with books. Have There is a really good book called From Aldous Huxley. Do you know him? New
Brave New World. Yeah.
Exactly. In this book, there is a specific scene that I always remember. They traumatize babies whenever the baby try to approach some books. They will give him electric shocks,
Oh,
and
wow.
whenever the baby
Yeah.
try to pick a flower, they will make the room smells good to make the baby avoid the book and go to pleasant things.
Pavlov's dog, like that
Exactly.
experiment.
Mm.
But and that is a really good example to reference in light of where I was actually going with that idea. Um, which, because what you're saying really illustrates what I wanted to say without having a good way to say it until you describe that, which is that we get our context for these fields of study from negative reinforcement. The
Mhm.
context of history comes from, well, here's a bunch of terrible things that happened, essentially, that we just all got so used to, it stopped really even being interesting. That there's some leader in some country who goes to war with some other leader over this very petty thing and like destroys the structure of their societies, and this happens over and over and over again, and you're sitting there going, oh god, I'm so bored. But really it's very engrossing from a different point of view if you understand it, just by changing your perspective on it. And science is the same way, where we go, oh, I'm mashing these concepts into my head and it's so boring. I just have to understand this and this and this and this and this. And it's the same with coding. I have to understand how these pieces fit together. But then when you step back and you think about it, the world is so fascinating. The way that all the pieces fit together biologically, chemically, structurally, in terms of genetics. Uh, there's a relationship in all of this to language too. And then, of course, you can convert all of that into bits and bytes in a computer, and ones and zeros that come up in these reflections on the screen of the world. And it's all so fascinating that it makes you realize that, oh, wow, we have just lost a sense of the magic in the world, and we are not good at communicating that. And we require people instead to go, I'm not learning this because it's incredible, but I'm learning it because it's necessary, because it's a tool, because I have to, because I need to get good passing grades, or because I need to earn money. And I think that having that shift in context where you go, wow, the world is actually quite magical, even
Mhm.
if it has all of this hardship in it. I think that it's important to be able to have a relationship to that, because that also provides the direction to go in that allows us to leave the hardship behind
Mhm.
by going,
Correct.
let's just get into the part of it that is something where we can all build something together, instead of constantly fighting over stuff, because that's kind of the pattern that we've had. It's the way we've always done things, and we don't want to model something new in that regard, to such a degree that we are afraid of what will happen if we try to. And so you end up with somebody, you end up with a lot of right wing governments cropping up around the world, like, Trump. And I'm not saying that, the left wing governments are always going to be better. Um,
Both
but what
of
I'm
them, they are synergetic. Both of them work together. At the end of the day, they they are both trying to control people and to pretend that they know what everyone wants and what they need, and it's just mass control at the end of the day.
Well, it's really interesting because when you said synergy, my mind went to a different place. I see what you're saying. There's a self-involvement in that way, but the way that I see it is the right wing is more directly about control. It's about addressing elements of crime in society or people doing things you don't want, essentially, and you go and you try to deal with it. Whereas the left wing is more about how can we support each individual in society to make sure that they have the basic necessities that they need. And the reason there's something of a synergy and something of a conflict here is that when if you just supported everybody, then a lot of people go, oh, well, now I'm going to take as much as I can and I'm not going to
It
try and
was
support
happening.
this. Yeah,
It happens a
I'm
lot.
not, they go, I'm not gonna play my
Um,
part in that structure, because if the structure supports you, you have to support the structure or the structure falls apart. Because who is supporting you? Other people who also have to go, gee, I need to support the structure, part of which is you. uh, and so it's important to be able to deal with problem elements where you go, here's everybody working together and building a better society, and that's good. And then here's these people who are gonna try and create problems for everybody else. It's like a kid who sees a bunch of kids in a sandbox playing together and they build a sandcastle, and this other kid goes, what would be fun for me is if I came over and I kicked the sandcastle down and punched this kid in the face. They're like, that would be most fun to me. And then so you need an adult to come along and go, well, you can't play with those kids until we get you to a place where you are socially normalized again. You've figured out how to stop being such a little asshole, and then you can come back to society. And that's the response that is needed, where sometimes, a person goes to jail for a while because
exactly.
we don't really have another solution.
Exactly. They don't know what to do with these people, and they
Which is
throw
very
them
right
at the
wing.
eh, they throw them at the
Yeah.
place they call it jail. We don't know how to deal with you guys, so keep at least don't bother us. There is a
Yeah.
yeah. This word is better than synergy, I think, because it's a structural tension that, and this structural tension itself makes the structure possible. That's the word. Let's. I will just inform you something. I have a student here in Brazil. She's learning English with me, and I have proposed her to participate with us. If you don't mind, if you need to
Oh,
do something
sure.
else, I feel free to do your stuff. But she's going to participate in this live in a few minutes, and she's intermediate level in English. So I always try to create a simulation with her. So let's pretend we are in an airplane, we are in a store, we are doing buying groceries, and so on. So I try to simulate scenarios so she can speak freely in English and without any fear, as you mentioned. And I think
I
it's a
have to
good
say,
opportunity for her to talk with you.
I have to say that actually that helped me when you put that way, because one thing that I struggle with in society is like that there is a lot of what feels like acting, and pretending you're being somebody, or acting in a certain way feels uncomfortable to me. But when you just called it like, oh, it's a simulation, you're simulating being in this environment. I was like, oh, you know what? That's a way to look at things that doesn't feel
Yes,
so like there's not so much pressure. Like,
I use that for
like
myself because I hate acting. But there is a interesting thing I learned recently. Do you know the etymology for illusion? Illusion.
Did
The
you say
word
etymology illusion?
etymology. Yes, it's deeply connected to ludic. Let me let me check if I say it correctly. Mm. Does this word make sense to you?
Etymology or ludic?
Ludic. Am
Oh,
I pronouncing it correctly?
I don't remember what it means, right? I'm not sure.
Mm.
Unless it's like
You,
Luddite or something.
it's like it's a word that means uh, activity that promotes learning.
Oh, okay.
So the word illusion share some roots with this
Hmm.
concept of an activity that promotes learning. And I have learned that a few days ago. I wasn't aware of that before. So interesting. It's interesting to think about because
Oh,
usually
that's cool.
I thought about illusion as lies. So we are in the past when I mentioned we live in an illusion, Maya from Hinduism. I associated that concept to lies, to not true, to deceiving. So I associate that with we are all being deceived by some higher force that are playing with us. We are cattle for them, and they feed on our souls. I associate with that.
Well, the interesting thing about the concept of Maya is that it would be the circumstances are the illusion, where human society seems like it just is that way. Like violence and war and suffering just are facts of life. And the other part of Maya is that I think it's the understanding that we are deceiving ourselves
Mm,
by believing in that, by believing that those things are unalterable, or just we just have a level of self-deception by not seeing things in terms of what is true because we don't know or we can't see the truth
mm,
in some way that, as you were talking about, like you can see things as a simulation rather than a lie. And the thing with simulation is you can simulate things that are very real, but you can also simulate things that are false. So when you're simulating what is real, you can simulate going through a plane, talking to the stewardess, talking to other people, sitting in a spot. And you can do that as a real thing, or you can do it as a simulation. Uh, but when you simulate something that is false, it is a perspective. Generally, it's an idea about what something is, where you go, I'm in this plane, and this plane, as it's flying along, is creating all of reality. This plane is God. you know it's
good.
like this is the source of everything. And you can have like reasons to believe that. Like you're looking out the window and you see the land passing by, and you're like, wow, as this plane goes, it's just, as I'm sitting here, look at the world being created around me by the plane. um
Amazing. I I didn't thought about it like that yet. The plane is God being created. We have born here in this plane, and now we are just seeing everything goes by, and
it's
we
a
don't have any control about it.
it's a compelling argument, isn't it, for the flat earthers to like go, hey, maybe it's just we're just the product of a plane. But but that's the power of illusion in that sense, that you could call negative, is it is an investment in an idea that things are a certain way when you have no way of knowing that they are that way, because you can't truly know something to be a way that is impossible. If you say, I know that this is a fact, like a lot of scientists will say, I know for a fact that when I die, I'm dead because I'm the product of my body's processes. And so when that body dies, I have to die too. You can there's a funny thing about that, which is that you can't know it as a fact Like you can't know that as a fact ever. But what you could conceivably know as a fact, because there wouldn't be a you to know it as a fact. You couldn't confirm or deny that you had really died forever once the body died. There would be no way to directly confirm that information. But what you could confirm is if your body died and then you were like, "Oh, I'm still in a dream state essentially, and here I am waking up from that dream state." Then you could confirm that the belief had been false. There had been a false belief in death that was permanent, but
I
the person had
I
really
need to
believed it.
have this experience. I really want that. Ego death. I want that. I haven't
Well,
had
well,
that yet.
what I'm really saying is just that in that hypothetical idea, where you can't really die forever, that's not really a real thing. If we think about that hypothetical and it's true in this hypothetical sense, then the person who went through their life believing that they could die and be dead forever had a false model. They had an illusion and it affected their view of reality. It affected their view of the world. They went, well, when I die, nothing's going to matter anyway. So there is no inherent morality. There's no reason to do anything, good. I don't have to do anything bad either, but there's nothing telling me who to be and what to be. And they come to all of these conclusions about it in the same way that people do who go, well, God is real and God needs us to defend God and do things for God and take action for God. And they create this false paradigm in the same way that somebody does who goes, my nation is me. And if you offend my nation, you've offended me. And so now I have to attack you. I have to defend my nation. I have to defend where I'm from. There are all these layers of beliefs that are false. None of that is true. None of those statements are true. They're just
I
ideas that
have
people
a
have.
I have a funny statement about patriotism. I will share it with you just a minute. I don't know how to properly translate it in English, so I will cheat here and use Google Translator. But I think you are going to like it. Let's say I will paste it here.
Oh wow. That's
The
really funny. Yeah. It
the
makes it makes
nation
like
the nation harbors his money through taxes. Make him go to wars to die from politicians, and he still loves the the nation. So it's a cookout.
well, the way that I read that made me laugh is just like if you transport some part of your identity, you export it to something outside of yourself and you go, I identify with this thing now. And if you attack it or do anything with it, it's like you're attacking me. You're taking away your own individuality, your own statement of being like, this is who I am and it is unassailable. People can't attack me because that's who I am is I am who I am and they are who they are, and I'm not going to confuse the things that they say about me as being true about me. It's reflections of them. And if you give
Mm,
them something like a nation to attack, they can define what that nation is just as much as you can in a sense. I mean, partly it's ideological where I can say that what does America represent to me? America to me is so different from what people see America as that, they're two entirely different things potentially. But for me, it's like it represents these very human ideals, being able to say who you are, speak your mind, speak freely, and not face persecution for it. Um, being a really core one to it. Another one is that it's just about upholding that ideal of seeking happiness, the freedom to express the things that are true to you. And it's also in the understanding that, like, if you say, well, it's true to me to suppress somebody else, that can't fit in that system because that stops them from having liberty. That stops them from having freedom. And so obviously there's this adjustment that gets made where you have to go to decide who you are. you have to do it in a way that doesn't hurt anybody else. And so it's very fundamental to the search for freedom with this kind of like paradoxical part of the human psychology, which is where some people go, I can only feel free if I'm suppressing somebody else, if I'm controlling somebody else, because then I feel safe, or then I really just get off on it, you know? Uh, but the paradox there is that if you feel like you need somebody else to behave a certain way for you to feel like yourself, then you're not free, because you need them to do something for you to feel free.
Yeah.
You are
You
being
are
controlled
conditional
by,
on the other.
yeah, you've
You are
given them,
conditional on the other being. You have conditions. So if the other one acts in a certain way, so that I will
I
be
will
that.
too. I
Yeah.
will act in a certain way too. It will be a negative response to that, probably.
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah. And
There is this concept that I play with, which is I do to the other side reflection what they have first done to me. So I play safe with those. I
so
play
they can see
fair.
you
Yeah. So they
and
and
themselves, so they can see themselves too.
so they can see themselves. So those who acts fairly with me, I also do the same with them. And those who play dirty with me, I will give them a reflection of that as well.
Well,
Oh, Raisa is
I
here.
think, yeah, I think what you're talking about is I think that's a really interesting point to come to, because from one point of view it's an easy like slippery slope, where I'm sure you've heard of that, where it's like, oh,
Yes.
if somebody does this to me, then I'll just send them right that back that thing, and you go, well, am I really any better than them? But where you are coming from in my mind is different, because where you are coming from is recognizing that what people need in order to change their behavior that's affecting other people in a negative way is they need to get a sense of themselves. Often this comes through a sense of their own hypocrisy and their own violations of fairness. And one of the ways to do that is to shine a light on the hypocrisy by being this very like glaring, blaring light that's so like bright. It's like, it's like burning, because you've done something that they find to be wrong, for example, or they
Correct.
find to be and it's within a set of values where you go, hey, nothing else is going to reach them. I can try to talk to them and be fair and be reasonable all day, and they're never, ever, ever going to hear it. But if I find something upsetting to them, suddenly they're experiencing a real feeling. Like if you insult somebody, for example, then they go through these processes of value questioning, where they go, what is your worth? And what do I think of that? And it might at some point cause them to realize, well, I'm the one who's been being unfair to you. And that's reflected in the fact that I was just doing whatever I wanted to do with no regard for anybody else. And then you came along and you were sitting there and taking it. And I wasn't aware of this because I didn't care. I didn't care about the effect that I was having. But then you did one little thing to me that I found so upsetting and so offensive that now I'm fixated on it. It makes me angry. And you know, and it's like ruining my day. uh and going into that space and getting like hit in that way, it causes self-reflection, it causes processing in a negative way that annoys them, and they don't want to do it, and it makes them upset, and they may react negatively, but they go through a process instead of just continuing to be the same way without any understanding or awareness of the effect it has on other people. uh, and so
Exactly. That's the
there is,
idea.
yeah,
And
yeah.
to don't escalate the situation, you
Yeah, that's
just
what
need
I
to
couldn't
do it
remember how to say
once.
that.
Yeah, but your way of saying it is also pretty clear, because there is even a fallacy about that. For example, if we try to do something, then the sun will eventually shut down because of my little action here. So they slippery, as you mentioned, I forgot how you mentioned, but this is slipperylessness that happens when we propose something and then the other person say, but if you try that, the babies will die. We are going to be extinct in 100 years. So that kind of fallacy, it's also addressable by doing just one clear sign of what the other person did to you that you didn't like, and you are reflecting back, and you do that, and they will feel, they will understand, and then you mention, I have done this just now, just to make sure you understood what you are doing, but I won't participate in this anymore after that if you don't change
Yeah.
your behavior.
Well, and also you are probably willing to apologize while they might not be. And I think that
Good. I didn't think about that. Yes, they
like
tend to do that.
having that willingness is important, and having that understanding is important. That it's like we have this phrase in English, two wrongs don't make a right. I'm sure that exists in like most
It,
languages.
it is in Portuguese as well.
um, and so the idea that I have is not what I'm doing is right. What I'm doing is not like somehow right while they were just wrong by themselves. It's that no, what I'm doing is also from a point of view wrong. I'm like maybe being rude, just saying things to make somebody reflect on themselves, maybe hurt their feelings or something like that because they hurt my feelings, they didn't care. But at that point, what I do is I go, I recognize the negative effect of what I'm doing. I know I'm doing it for a positive reason. I'm not doing it to make myself feel better. I'm doing it to get them to reflect. But I go, here, I'm willing to say, I don't want to have a negative effect on you anyway. I never really did. And I'm sorry for doing that. But then I'll also make sure to explain, here's why I did that. And if they are the kind of person that they'd have to be to have a negative interaction with me explaining why I did what I did is also going to upset them because it's going to be an encounter with the truth that they don't want to have. They just want you to let go of things and not be thinking about it. They don't want you to be reasonable and rational in saying things that seem to contradict them or make them seem like they were doing something wrong, because that just reinforces the idea that they did something wrong and they don't want to see things that way and they see
Yeah.
it as an
If
attack.
if they are willing to change, they will have an opportunity for that, an example. But if they are not willing to change, nothing that we can do will do that for them. So we don't care anyways. And yeah, now Thaisa is here.
That's fine.
Thaisa is here. She's one of my students. I invite you to, Thais, I invite you to talk with us, and especially with Andrew. He's from the United States, so it's a really good opportunity to just talk in English. And for us Brazilian, that's opportunity because it's very rare for us to be able to talk with someone in another language aside from Brazilian Portuguese. So it works as a practice. And I invite you, Andrew, to become an English teacher because just the
Okay.
fact that you are a native English speaker, it's way, way better than myself, for example, because I'm English teacher here in Brazil, but my native language is Portuguese. So I'm not even close to you in terms of teaching quality and pronunciation and idioms and slangs, for example. You are a higher quality source than myself. And I think you need to take advantage of that. And I will invite some students of mine to reach out to you if they want to. So they can have a particular lesson, English lesson with you if
Oh,
you also want to. And you need to
I'd
ask
be happy
money.
to.
You need to ask money
Okay.
for that. And then don't do this for free, okay? Uh, because if you ask for money, people will pay attention. Most of people works like that. So Thaisa, what do you want
Um,
to say to us?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm still you talking about some topical, no?
Which topic interested you most?
Não, não, quer dizer, vocês estavam falando sobre uma coisa antes, não é?
Yeah, about, for example, when we need to deal. She asked, just for you to know, Andrew. She asked what we were talking about previously. Could you bring one of the subjects that we talked about previously, Andrew?
Oh, is she trying to remember which
Yes.
subject it was? Okay, so we talked about simulating a conversation, like talking about being on an airplane or in an airport and talking to attendants there, perhaps. We talked about uh, the structure of like classes, like history, science, and our relationship to these topics in terms of whether we just feel like we're taking in information just for information's sake, or we are really seeing the whole picture of what science and history and these things are about in terms of the world being kind of magical. We talked about behaviors and children and interacting with them through the feelings of safety and connection and logic. Was it
That's good.
anything like that?
Did you did you get it, Thaisa? Did you understood him?
Yes, yes, not all, but understand.
Mm. Could you do you have any interest in some particular topic that you'd like to talk about?
No, no, I think no.
Mm. I will ask you. Just pretend that you know that you want something because that's a way of talking. It's just like em português we call it pretexto. É só um pretexto para a gente conversar. Pode escolher qualquer assunto. You can choose any topic. Just as a way of talking. You just need to use the English, the language.
Só acho que sobre o dia a dia, talvez.
Okay, so how is your day usually like, Andrew? She's asking that.
Oh, okay. Um, well, I wake up, I eat a bowl of cereal usually, and I don't necessarily do the same thing every day, but I'm just looking for a job right now. And so I'll look for work. And recently, I have been learning to code. Robson has been guiding me to help me to understand Java and the process of finding work in the field of programming.
Mm.
How about you? What do you normally do during a day? Is it Thaisa? Is that how you say it?
Yes, yes, is correct. I'm the same, I too. I wake up at 7 a.m. normally, and I'm working on 9 a.m. até
Until
mais 6 p.m., until 6 p.m. And I working out some days and play games too.
mm, I think you like games as well, right, Andrew?
Like what was the last thing you said?
She likes to play games sometimes.
Oh, oh, games, yes. Like
Video
video
games.
games or board
Yes,
games.
exactly. Probably video games
Oh,
because she's so young. How old are you, Thaisa?
2020.
2020.
Is it
So
22?
22. Sorry, 22 years old, and so probably she haven't played too much board games as we did. I forgot
yeah.
to ask you, Andrew. How old are you?
30. Oh, I just turned 38 actually.
38. So you are 3 years older than I.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you also like video games, right, Andrew?
I do. Yeah. What video games do you play, Thaisa?
on my PC, on the Steam, and the FPS games.
Oh,
Which is the name of one of
do
them?
you play Call of Duty?
Call of Duty, for
No,
example.
no, but CSS2 and Valorant.
Oh, oh
Valorant.
wow, okay.
CS is Counter
Counter-Strike.
Strike. Okay,
Yeah, that's awesome.
good.
I like
You guys
Counter-Strike.
can add each other in those games if you are still playing them, Andrew. I don't play
I
these games anymore.
I played Valorant for a little bit. It's very hard. I just get shot in the head by people every time I go around a corner.
It's like me. I just don't know how to play. It's like playing soccer, Brazilian soccer, or yeah, in the United States it's called soccer, I think. Here it's called football. And when I tried to play it, I was totally lost. I don't didn't know what to do at all on it, so I just totally gave up on that.
How do you say football in Portuguese? Football?
Football,
Oh, football.
football,
That's
almost the same, but it's like a Brazilian way of speaking the same word in English. So in English, it's football, ball and foot, or foot and ball. But in Portuguese, it's fu, with slightly different pronunciation, but it comes from the same word,
interesting.
football.
Or
Yeah.
in Spanish, I know that some of Portuguese is like Spanish, so I thought it might be like football, but
Yes,
it's close. Yeah.
Thaisa, what when you are trying to talk about yourself, for example, it's a very common questions that we have that we receive in interviews, and real you are going to receive that a lot as well. We have some templates for that because they are not seeking for honest answer when they ask us, "Tell me about yourself." If I tell about myself in this question, they are going to become so bored. They are going to kick me out of the interview at the same time. So there is a specific template for this. And Thais, I would like you to present yourself through Andrew in the way that we have talked about the answer to tell me about yourself. Could you do it?
Yes, as I am Thais, I am software engineer with 5 years of experience. My main stack includes C Sharp and Java. And I'm what part of the work I say I like to watch a series and play video games. And I like is this.
Okay. Yeah, you just didn't mention the specific parts about the job itself, but it's okay. Right now, it's not required. And did you get it, Andrew? She just mentioned her age, her job title, and what she likes to do, and how she works. She may go deeper in that in other equations. So
Oh
it's really
yeah, I
simple.
understood.
It's really simple, but most people I have recorded so many interviews from so many peoples. That one that you saw earlier, I think I sent it to you yesterday. It was one of my interviews, and I have a bunch of them that I will provide to you later on in order to better prepare yourself to the actual interview. So you are going to have a real experience at not a real experience, but a real interview that you can analyze and see, and we can study them together. It's like fighters, for example, before a fight, they watch their adversaries and see how they punch, how they defend themselves. So it's like that. We do that for interviews. And there is a common behavior that most people tend to use in Brazil, outside Brazil. When they are asked, tell me about yourself, they start a monologue. They keep it in for minutes and they tend to not go to the next phase of the hiring process because of that, because they
Hmm.
really believe the question. But this question is not to be believed at all. It's like the paradox of the liar. I'm telling a lie right now. So it's a paradox. Or don't believe me, another paradox. If you try to believe me, I'm asking you to don't believe me, so you are believing me to not believe you, and you enter in a loop. In
Well,
a
I have to say I don't know if this is relevant to add to a lot of people, but I think the thing about those statements is if you say I am lying, you're not lying because you haven't actually given any information. Except
mm,
that I guess if you're saying I'm lying, that is information, and you're lying about lying because you haven't said anything. I don't know. There's something
it's a
about it.
paradox. It's a
I,
performative
I suppose
paradox.
so. Yeah.
Like believe, don't believe me.
Yeah. But believe what? Like, what's the thing to believe or not in that statement, I guess?
It's called in English. I forgot. It's called spoken act. Like for example, in a marriage, the the father for the Catholic Church, he mentions to the couple, "You are now married." So it's an act, a spoken act. He's not just talking. He's declaring something. He's changing reality in some way. So, for example, the judge, you are condemned, and he's talking and also performing an act. So the act of not believing me is making you enter in the paradox because I'm explicitly acting to say that you don't need to believe me. That's where the paradox comes from. It's tricky, but it's the same for tell me about yourself. It's not a real question. They don't care about who we are. But most people believe this thing and they got in trouble and don't get the job. So it's very it's very simple actually. We just need to tell this basic stuff that Thaisa mentioned. And there's even a template for that, a script. Another advantage of doing that is that you don't need to remember or to create your answer at the moment. So you are not going to need to utilize your brain too much because it's already memorized beforehand, and you are going to do lots of interviews in different companies. So if you need to, for each company, create a specific answer, it's going to cause cognitive load, lots of cognitive load on you. So that's why we prefer to use a script, a way of answering this, and it's formatted, it's replicable. That's it. It works really fine.
So, Thaisa, is that you have 5 years of experience in software development? Or were you saying that as part of this conversation, or is that your actual experience at this point?
Oh, could you say that again?
Do you have 5 years of software experience, or were you playing a role in the conversation by saying that?
Oh, yes, I have 5 years of experience.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay,
You
I was
learning
curious.
Java right now, right?
Yes, yes, I just started,
Oh,
and
you like the language?
yeah, I do. I think it makes sense. It reminds me. I've read a little bit of Python and C++, plus plus, and it doesn't feel that different. But I think as I get to know Java, then I will notice the differences between the languages. Do you have a preference of the languages that you have learned? Is there one you like coding in the best?
Yeah, I prefer C sharp, but the job is bem parecido with the C sharp.
Oh,
Very similar.
it's yeah, that's like Spanish. Parecido. Uh, um, oh, I see. And what kinds of things do you like to code the best?
Oh, what I may code the best?
Yeah, is there a kind of coding that you like to do more than other kinds?
Não, essa eu acho que eu não entendi muito bem o que ele perguntou.
Oh,
And go ahead.
well, what I'm really asking is like, uh, is there like do you is there a kind of field that you like to work in the best for a certain kind of software? I guess I don't know if that makes sense necessarily because I don't know that much about coding.
It makes sense. Did you get the question, Thais? I can translate it to you.
Sim, sim. Ficou um pouco confuso para mim.
Ele perguntou se você tem alguma área de interesse particular na programação.
Oh, I think it's the backend develop. I'm meio que front-end developer, but I prefer backend developer.
Oh, okay.
Backend developer and front-end development. Are you familiar with these concepts, Andrew?
I've heard the terms. I would guess that back-end development has to do with like the code itself. Front-end development might be more about like the visual interfaces, like the user side of the experience or something.
Yes, you can say it like that. For example, the engine of a car, it's the backend. And the car structure itself and its appearance, how it looks, is the front end. So the back end could be the engine of the car, and the rest of the car may be the front end. It's very simplistic, but it's like that.
Would for the front end, would you still be coding directly in Java or these other languages, or would you move to a more visual interface?
JavaScript mostly.
Oh, okay. I see.
And also it can be done through Python or Java or C Sharp, but it's not. These languages are not really appropriate for front end development, even though then they can do that. It tends to be really complicated. So most of the time on the front end is going to be JavaScript, CSS, and HTML.
I see. That makes sense. Oh, I saw there was a question earlier about where I am in my process with
Check.
coding.
Yeah, Victor, he asked if you are starting now or IT. I have
Yeah,
answered that him starting now, but you can complement the answer if you want to.
oh yeah, yep. I'm Robson is showing me the way to yeah get into the field. So
My pleasure. You are going to learn a lot and quickly because I have already figured out your way of learning and understanding. You are going to really have good results with this profession. And as I mentioned before, I prefer to hold a tiger than to push a turtle. So I prefer to tell my students, don't look at that for now. Don't study this, focus on that. You are going too fast, slow down a little bit, focus on this. I prefer to do that 100 times. And I hate when I need to beg my students, here, read this book, read this article, and the person doesn't read the book, neither the article. So I don't know if it makes sense in English. I prefer students that make me want to keep them on track because they are going so fast that I fear that derail. I prefer that kind of student.
I'll have to try to develop in that direction a little bit. Just go for it.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I also hate when I need to avoid learning deeply something just for the sake of something else. But sometimes we need to do that. We need to be adaptable.
I
And
think they
Thaisa,
complement each other.
yes, they complement each other. It's just a matter of knowing when to apply it, 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 each of them properly. So the trick is when to apply them properly, not to stick with one way or the other way. Thaisa, do you want to talk about something else?
Não, não, aí. Você pode escolher qualquer um que eu vou tentar conversar.
Okay,
I might be having connection issues. Sorry about that.
no problem. Seems to be stabilized. You know. And
I had to switch to my phone.
no problem. Let's propose a subject. And Andrew, you may use this approach when you are teaching English for anyone that wants to. It's just a random topic generator. It's a really good teaching tool. It's literally a website that you type right on the Google, for example, random topic generator, and it's going to propose some topics for us in which these topics with them we talk. So it's just something to talk about. So, for example, I will generate one here.
Can I ask a question first,
Go ahead.
Tysa? Um, I was wondering, are there any areas where you want to improve in your English specifically? Is there a kind of a conversation or a situation that you want to be able to find yourself in and be able to talk comfortably in that situation in particular? Like maybe at work or at the store or out with a friend and in that situation?
Especially in the work, in the small talks too, in the new passwords. I'm new in the passwords, and then
You said are new and what was that?
a new person or people.
Ah, yes. Oh, okay. So like having introducing yourself and learning who they are. You can say where you're from and find out about family and those sorts of things and hobbies and education history.
Yes, yes.
That's where the word generator that you picked, Robson, is probably good. The
Usually
topic
it works
generator.
like that. But you asked a good question because most students they struggle with basic stuff that you guys take for granted. For example, how was your day? Tell me about yourself. Where are you from? Small talk, like she mentioned. So they struggle with that, especially software developers, software engineers. They tend to be introverted. So in social situations, they really don't perform so well.
Well, I have something that I think might be a good exercise, actually, just from my experience of learning languages. Uh, if it's okay if I suggest this
Go
really
ahead.
quick, is
You are
uh,
the teacher.
okay.
As I
Yeah,
mentioned, you are a native speaker, so it's way better than just a non-native teacher.
yeah. Okay. So, can you describe somebody in your family? I would ask. I think like is there somebody like your dad or brother or a sister where you can talk about them a little bit, or a friend you have?
Oh, descrevem the physical or in the
Yeah,
emotion?
I would emotionally, I think, is actually probably like the best if you can do that, or the physical side as well, or just like their behaviors, whichever.
Oh yeah, I talked to my mom. She's the 48, 50 anos,
50 years
50
old.
years old. Oh, I'm living with her, and she is good. She's I love her, and she's work with the empregada doméstica. Não sei como falar isso.
She worked as a. I also forgot how to say that. Just a minute.
Like a domestic care provider or something.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay. Well,
She worked
I
like
can't
that.
really.
Her mom.
Okay.
I totally forgot how to say this in English. Yeah, domestic worker or housemaid. I was trying to remember housemaid.
Oh,
So
okay.
her mom works like that.
I thought domestic, sorry. So,
I think it's also a good word to make it because it's more similar to Portuguese. Portuguese we call empregada doméstica, domestic worker.
I thought maybe it was like a care role, like taking care of somebody, but that's caring as well, like you care for a space. So,
Yeah, good question. Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, I
But,
think it's this.
mm,
okay. Because I've found that being able to talk about people and feelings is a really important topic, like in terms of really feeling out, really understanding how to use a language. It's not necessarily what you'll say to your coworkers. You'll say bits and pieces of that, but uh, I think the more that you can talk about how people make you feel, how you see them, um, the better, the more comfortable you'll feel speaking a language.
totally agree. Thaisa, when you are talking in English, do you have any insecurity about something specific?
No, no. For me, I'm very relaxed about this. I'm no fear to the errar
Make
or
mistakes?
yes, yes, or talk to run some some road or like this.
Mm. Okay, some misspelling. Did you get, Andrew, what she said?
What was the last thing that you said?
Ou errar alguma palavra.
The words?
Words. Yeah. So she mentioned to make mistakes with some words, for example.
Oh, ah,
She
yes.
doesn't. She's not afraid of that. I particularly, I hate that word. Uh, I particularly try to have some fears when I'm talking in another language, but I try to use those fears to address those fears. So
Hmm.
it's like trying to use the imposter syndrome in my favor. For example, if I don't know how to clearly say a word properly, for example, and I have some doubts about it, and I'm not getting it quite right yet, I try to create some minor fear in me, so to motivate me to go ahead and try to improve my pronunciation of that particular word. So I tend to use that with my students as well. For example, when they say, "No, I don't have any fear," I will try to put some kind of fear, because if they don't address that situation, and fear is a really good motivator for humans, and they don't try to address that misspelling, for example, they will keep doing the misspelling. So sometimes I try to create a little bit of fear about something just to motivate the person to go ahead and address the cause of the fear.
Do you think in learn about the fear it's better?
Yes, from my point of view, yes. What do you think, Ken?
I think that if you have a passion for a language, then that will cause you to want to learn to pronounce it, you know, properly, and to want to speak it in a way that is natural, that other people can understand. And so if you listen to native speakers speaking the language, and you really, really focus on saying things the way that they're said, you go, the is said this way. Um, R sounds like this, R, I think it's like wrong and right and these things, and you really want to try to sound like them. Like I do this with French, and it took me years and years to speak French correctly, and I still don't speak it in a way that to me feels like the way that I want to speak it. But I really appreciate the language. I really love the way it sounds, and I love the words, and I felt similarly, about Spanish. And that's what helped me to learn to speak those languages well. And like I people never really have problems understanding me when I speak.
Do you have passion for English learning, Thais?
Yes, for the English and the Germany too.
German language or Dutch?
Yes.
Dutch. I forgot to say if it's Dutch or how to say it. Sometimes my brain just doesn't cooperate with me.
I
I forgot how to say it correctly.
I think talking about things that you love can really
Mhm.
help too. If you're really passionate about a hobby, or just like if I say, Taisa, can you describe your favorite thing in the room with you? Do you know how to
In my
do you feel
room,
just wherever you are, is there something like, do you really love your computer? And can you talk about why you love your computer? That would be easy for me, I think.
yes, yes. I think I'm loving my computer because I pass this most time on my computer for the
You spend the most time on your computer. That's
yes.
that's how you'd say it in English. Sorry, I don't mean to stop you. You'd say I spend all my time on my computer.
Yes, yes. And I like it so much for the things on the computer for the montar o computador. I notice the builds on the computer, the components to
Mm,
learn and see on the new processes, the best, the placa de vídeo. Não sei mais se fala placa de
the
vídeo.
graphics card.
Graphics card.
Yes, yes. The best, the type of cars. I like to see these things and learn it too.
Oh, that's awesome. Um, And one thing I can say is that you'll notice one thing I just did is I don't speak Portuguese. I do speak Spanish, uh, but I can understand by the context of what you're talking about. And this is really useful in learning a language, is if we're talking about a computer, I know that you were telling me about the components, the processor, the the pieces that fit in it physically. And so you said something that sounded a little bit like video or graphics, I think is what it was. And so I was like, I bet you're talking about a graphics card. And doing that when people are talking is a good way. Just keep in mind all of the things that are related to that subject.
Could you guys give me 5 minutes? I will need to go to the bathroom. 5 minutes. You guys keep
Sure.
talking. The entire purpose of this session is to talk in English and learn something new in English or in Portuguese, and that's it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Um, well, I like hearing that you're, passionate about the computer and the design and the pieces and how they all fit together because I like that too. I used to build computers when I was younger, and so I would assemble the motherboard and the CPU, and I would insert the graphics card and the power supply and all of that. And it sounds like you've done the same thing with your hardware as well.
And today, do you use the desktop computer or the laptop?
Oh, I use my laptop if you're watching the video, it's over there. I had a desktop recently, and I'll get another one later, I think.
Or do you don't like anymore?
You said that I don't like. Did you say memory?
And do you no? I cannot say you don't like anymore the PC? You prefer laptop?
Oh, okay. You said that I don't like something about the PC. I'm not sure what word it was, but yes, I understand the question you're asking. Um, I like PCs and I like my laptop. I've been trying to find a good job. I don't know if you were here for the part of the conversation earlier where I was talking about working with kids. Um, but I ended up quitting the job that I was talking about because the what I saw as the way to help the children really grow and develop just was different from what the other teachers felt needed to happen from moment to moment to keep the classroom organized and to make sure the kids went to the next activity that they needed to do, like sleeping or going outside or these things. And so I've been looking for work, and Robson helped me find, a path toward exploring my experience with coding that I have had um, over the years, and that I can build on that.
Oh, I see. I see.
I don't remember your question exactly. I'm sorry. I went down that path, but
No, because you say the laptop is the back to you, and
oh, I sold my computer recently because I needed to sell it. I loved my computer though. It made me very sad, but I love my laptop too. It's really nice. I can play Valorant on my laptop, but I played Expedition 33 on my computer. That's why I bought it, and that game was amazing.
oh, so you continues play the Valorant too.
Uh, I can play it again. Yeah, I could install it. I might do that. Do you play it a lot?
Oh, could you repeat that, please?
Do you play a lot of Valorant? Are you really good at it? I'm not. I'm okay at Valorant.
Oh, I'm okay too. I'm learning yet. So I'm participating on the group on the you learn play Valorant with professional AI sports. Do you know?
Oh, did you say you want to do esports or you do?
Yeah, yes, as I have a group on the a gente tem one teacher to us to play Valorant. So I'm
Oh,
learning yet.
oh, you have a teacher, like an esports professional who's teaching you how to play Valorant.
Yes, yes.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's really cool. I got I got really, really good at a game at one point, at a Call of Duty game. Um, but
Yes, on the United States is the most thing is sports on the high school and the faculdade high school. I'm learn about this to conseguir algumas bolsas através de esports to play Valorant. So I'm learning, não por causa disso, mas I'm learning.
that's that's great. Uh, I would like to. I always wanted to get better at those first person shooters because like I've played quite a lot of them, and I have like the ability to get good at it because I played Call of Duty on the phone, like Call of Duty
Oh,
Mobile.
on the phone?
Yeah. And I wanted to do their competition that they had, and at one point I was playing it, and it said I was in like this is the thing is I don't know how good their ranking system is because it said I was in the top 99 like 0.3% of players. It just like it would tell you that as you were going through the ranking system. But there was like I think there were a lot of bots at that level. Like I realized later, I thought I was playing against real people, but I think a lot of them were bots. But I was in the top 99%. Uh, and like I had reached the max rank and all that. But then I went to play Call of Duty on my computer and I just got destroyed by everybody. And they also made fun of me. And I was like, oh man, I was so good at the mobile game. And they were like, it's got mobile Call of Duty, huh? But I want to get better at it.
Oh yes, I don't know if the game separate on the dispositive to the play. Maybe it's this.
Can you say that one more time? Let me see if I can
I
understand.
don't know the play separate the games on the dispositive, the mobile
Oh, the phone?
to
Yeah.
play. Yes, to play so only mobile players too.
Yeah, I think people playing the mobile game, it's like a very different way to play it. A lot of the same principles work, like how you go into a room and you clear the room and you know, looking for where the enemy is going to be. You have to anticipate where the other person is going to be. Uh, but for the people playing on the computer, you can be a lot more precise with the mouse, I think, and the skill level. You can have a much higher level of skill that when you have a very high level of skill, you can really dominate the other players in that in a way that I think you can't quite do on the mobile game. Uh, so that it made like a pretty big gap between me and other people. I think I might have also had like internet connections or my computer was slow too because when you're playing on the phone, everybody has kind of similar hardware. But on the PC, like a lot of those players, they have dedicated internet connections to fiber internet. And it's like they're just those little tiny differences. They make a big difference, I think. And my computer wasn't quite good enough to run it perfectly. But
And do you play the new Battlefield 6?
oh yeah, I played that a little bit. My internet connection is actually so bad that like for some reason like it just doesn't quite reach to my room. Like there's wireless internet throughout my complex. So I was able to play it for like, it would work for like 10 minutes or something. And it was really cool. For 10 minutes, it was cool. And then it would kick me out. Right. Have you played Battlefield?
Yes, not yet, but I watching some gameplays. The game is it's so beautiful. The
Yeah.
graphical is so much beautiful.
Yeah. And that's cool how you can like fly the helicopters and the planes and drive tanks and stuff. Like Valorant is more simple, but what do you like about Valorant? What's your favorite thing about it?
I think is the way of the play with the game, the the strategy.
The strategy?
Yes, the two planting the spike, né, and the defend the two, and the powers is the best too.
The
I
power
think yes,
powers?
the yes poderes, né, the powers,
Oh,
right?
powers. Yeah.
Yes, I think is I don't know. I'm like so Valorant and CS2 né, is similar, so I like the both.
Oh, that's great. And you do you like the like anticipating where the enemy will be around a corner? So you think I know where they're going to be, so I put my crosshair right there and try to go around the corner and keep it where they are going to be. Because that's a tough aspect of those games that I don't think Call of Duty had that quite to that level.
Yeah, in the Call of Duty is the different there. I'm never
Yeah.
play Call of Duty, but I knew é, não, the games como game é mais ou menos.
More or less. What have you tried
Oh,
to say?
Eu nunca joguei Call of Duty, né? Mas eu sei mais ou menos como ele é.
She never played Call of Duty, but she knows more or less how it is.
oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I like Valorant. I found that because of the way that headshots work in it, like I'd just walk around a corner and I'd die immediately. and so and so I felt like I was like never going to have the skill required to start feeling like I was able to play competitively with the people that I was playing against, because there weren't really like lower levels of players that were easy to find. Everybody's really good at that. Are you one of those players who would just shoot me when I came around a corner? You sound like you must be pretty good at it if you're playing with a professional who's training you.
Oh, I'm still okay, né? But I want to be the best in the game, né?
You want to be the best? That's awesome.
Not the best, but in the na última arena, mais ou menos, né? No última, posso dizer, nível ali, né?
Level.
Oh, in,
No
in your
ranking ali,
level,
né? Yes, yes.
like in your league or like maybe get into a professional team or something.
Not in professional team, but in the level, como posso dizer, né? No último
How,
rank do nível do jogo que é onde tem.
how can I say? In on the last level of the game rankings of the game.
Oh, I see. You want to, yeah, get to the top. ranking.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great goal. I think that's a lot more attainable than like being the best in the world or something like that. uh, which I wanted to do that, but yeah, sometimes I think you have to I like thinking, oh yeah, there are these things that are achievements along the way to a place like that, and I think language is a little like that. Um, do you think in English at all? Like, do you try to think in English when you're doing things throughout your day?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you repeat?
Um, when you are going through your day, do you try to think about the things that you would normally think about in Portuguese in English? So you're going, oh, I'm gonna go get a coffee and I'm going to sit and I'm gonna work on my computer. I'm gonna talk to my friend. Or do you keep thinking in Portuguese generally?
I'm trying to think in English, né? I'm trying to one day to think and talk English the maximum I can. And I'm trying to watching, né, tudo que eu assisto no dia, né, watching in English to the lesson and talk English the máximo que eu conseguir.
As much as you can?
as much
Yes,
as you
yes.
can.
Oh, that's great. I think like this is all making me think that there are a few parts to learning a language, and one is thinking it to yourself and speaking it, and then listening to other people and seeing where your habit of doing things a certain way is different from the way that they say it or they do it, so that you can like correct the way that you would have done it yourself. And so if you get really familiar with how you think about things, it's okay to make mistakes when you're thinking about things that way, as long as you don't get too much into a habit of it. But as long as you know the way that you would have said the thing that they are saying to you, then you can go, oh, they are saying it differently. And so I can change what I was thinking. Do you have hobbies aside from playing Counter-Strike? What do you like to do?
I like to do exercise, especially calisthenic. I think English is since it's
Calisthenics,
now.
yeah.
Yes, I like the practice the calisthenic. I'm in the level initial yet, but I like very much the calisthenic.
Oh, oh, that's great. That's a balanced lifestyle, it sounds like, playing
Y-
games and calisthenics. I have a yoga mat that I use to do yoga.
Oh, yoga is it's nice. It's nice. Nice.
And what are some of your favorite foods? What do you like to eat? Do you cook?
No, no, I I don't know cook,
Yeah.
but my mom is cook, so I'm I'm no need right now learn to cook, but
That mom has it covered.
yeah, I think is my preferred food is camarão, mas eu não sei como falar camarão em inglês.
Oh, shrimp.
Shrimp? Oh yes, yes. I love shrimps.
They are good. Do you like sushi?
No, no, I'm don't. I love camarão, but I'm not I like very well the fish, all the and then
You don't like other kind of seafood, just shrimp.
I I really like I really like sushi, and I think my favorite fish is salmon. Um, I also like to cook too. I went to cooking school and we cooked a lot of different meats where we would prepare the meat by removing the chicken from the bones, for example, and then you would make a broth from the bones by cooking them with some carrots and some celery until they got some color, and then you'd fill it up with water and let those flavors mix with the water. Um, and then you would use that broth with everything that you had cooked in the pan. So if you made some chicken, like you made the chicken breasts and the legs in the pan, you cooked them on both sides, and then you removed them from the pan. There would be some of the skin from the chicken would still be in the pan, and so then you could put in some wine to get the chicken remains off the bottom of the pan. You cook it down a little bit, and then you could add in the broth, and then you could add in cream, and that's how we made a lot of the sauces that were really good.
No, I think in learn is the cook, but
Oh,
it's
to
in the
cook.
future.
Did that make sense, everything that I said?
Yes, that's it's making sense.
Oh, good. Okay.
She has a good listening skills. She can understand English very well. She only struggles sometimes with past tense and some misspelling, and also mix Portuguese with English. It
Oh,
happens.
yeah.
We need to practice that, but she's doing really well. And what do you think Thaisa needs to focus on her English from now on?
Well, I was just going to ask, so Thaisa, have you spent a lot of time speaking English with other people? Is that one of the main ways that you've learned so far? Or have you done a lot of reading and watching movies and that sort of thing? Excuse me, as well.
The most part of the time I'm listen but not talking.
I see. Yeah. Um, do you also read a lot in English, or do you mostly are you in conversations and that's your main way of learning?
Ou ele perguntou se eu leio, né? Bastante, né? I'm read not the books, but on the websites or redes sociais. I'm learning, but not read the book.
Like social networks, did you say?
Yes, yes.
Mhm. Oh, okay. Um, yeah, I think it it might help to try writing a little bit in English and just writing about things that you want to describe, uh, or so that you can think of things you want to say more. It sounds like you might want to practice talking more. Sorry, I've been talking so much. um, do you let's see. Is there so I know you like computers and you like programming. Um,
I like
what
watching series or movies too.
is there a particular topic that you find most interesting, like biology or chemistry or history or any of those things, or this or society?
Tópicos que mais me interessam, né?
Uh, like, do you like to talk about people and people's behaviors and their habits, or do you like to talk about movies and or science or art or computers? I guess, like, do you have a favorite topic?
So I talk, or I like to talk, especially for the some as TV series or TV shows, movies, or movies, programming, PCs, and exercise too.
And what's your favorite movie?
Or either Annabelle the Creation.
Oh, what's it called?
Como em português?
Annabelle, né? A criação.
Oh,
Seria.
it's a horror movie.
Annabelle the
Oh,
Creation.
okay. Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. Um, so you
It is
like
a
horror
horror movie.
movies.
Yes.
Oh,
Very
that's
great
great.
because I'm afraid of every single horror, horror movie.
I went and saw one in the theater that I thought it genuinely was pretty upsetting. It was Suspiria. I don't know if you know of Suspiria from the name, but it was about this dance school in I think Russia or Prague, where these ballerinas were. I don't know
So
if you ever saw that.
I know this movie, but I never see yet. But I know.
That's a scary movie. I also went and saw Weapons recently. That was good.
Oh, rap is it's good. It's good.
Yeah, that was a good movie. That's all anybody should say about it, I think, too. 'Cause-
And what do you like about them? I want to understand. You go to the theater to get scared. I I I want to understand that. Could you tell me
yeah,
more about this?
I'm curious too. Why do you?
I I know the feel on the movies. I don't know because I see so much movies, so I'm not fear. But I like to the see the horror, the feel the other people's. I don't know. I don't know.
Mm.
I know it's very 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 good.
You like to see other people's fear? Is that what you said?
Uh, only on the movie and only the
Yeah, no, that I understand.
real,
That's
right?
funny. That's a funny perspective. I like that. Um, it probably feels kind of real, like you can really you can put yourself in that situation maybe. I think
Yes,
is that
maybe.
I
I
think because
think,
when
yeah, because I think as never to fiquei, né, com medo de watching some movie or TV series on the horror, but I
You
like.
you haven't seen any fear during these watch times?
No, no,
Mm,
but it's fun to acting in this movie.
mm, okay. Have you seen any ghost?
No, no.
What a shame. I hope that you you haven't seen you have seen one. I will. I was going to ask how he was.
I had something really weird happen lately. Like I've never had anything like this happen before, but I had a glass on my countertop at home, and I live in an apartment complex where there are a lot of rooms here, and one day I came home and the glass had shattered on the countertop. It was completely broken, and I thought, maybe a maintenance guy came in. Maybe I left the door unlocked. Like I had opened the door with my key, but I thought maybe somebody'd come in and then they locked the door and they shut it. I couldn't imagine what had happened to this glass, but I thought it must be something, kind of somewhat normal. But I was looking at it and it looked so strange to me. I recorded a video of it because the way that it broke was really, really weird too. It broke like right on top of itself, and the shatter lines were so strange. It wasn't like from the bottom up, it was from the side, and it was just sitting there. And I thought I was thinking to myself, geez, I wonder if it was something kind of supernatural, but I didn't know. And then I sat down at my computer and I got another glass. I had an identical glass to the last one. I set it in the same spot on my counter next to my sink. And I'm sitting there at my computer and I'm playing a game. And you have to have to keep in mind too, at this point, I had had a glass sitting in that spot on that counter for about a year at this point because I always just used that glass, and so I would leave the same spot, the same glass there. But anyway, so I put the glass there again. This was a few days later, and I'm just sitting there playing on my computer. I'm playing a game, and I hear this like explosion behind me, like the shattering sound. And I turn around, and the glass is sitting there totally broken. And I still have no idea what caused it. It was one of the strangest things. Like, I thought maybe there's like some weird sound coming from somewhere that was breaking glass or something. It was really, really weird.
My
Yeah, it's really, really
my
weird.
grandma my grandma
Yeah.
would say that it was the devil.
It was the what was that?
My grandma would say that it was the devil, the demon
Oh,
was trying to attack you.
does
A
it have a
demon.
name? Did you say something with a B?
Hmm. My grandma would say that
Yeah.
this situation that happened to you or to your glass, it was
Yeah.
an act of the demon.
Yeah. Oh, it sounded like you said something that sounded started with a B. Sorry, I couldn't quite hear. I just my headphones
No
kind of
problem.
cut out a little bit. But
Demon or devil? What's the
oh,
difference in the
devil,
meaning?
devil. Oh, yeah. Okay. Um, so the devil is a specific, like, devil is a hard word a little bit because you can say that you are bedeviled by something, meaning that it's just bothering you. It makes you think and you don't know what it is and you can't figure it out. But the devil is the same as Satan. It's like
Mm,
the biblical devil. Uh,
mm,
where a demon is it's a spirit, it's an entity of some kind that is related to hell generally, but it's not Satan. It would be like you have Satan and then you have Satan's demons.
mm.
So generally,
It,
but the
they
demons
are
don't need Satan either. Like, Satan doesn't have to exist for there to be demons.
mm, interesting. Yeah, I have studied them in the past. This year, I'm a Luciferian. I'm because
Oh,
I haven't, yeah, I haven't mentioned it to you before, but I change religions each once a year.
oh, that's a good idea. You really get
So
the full spectrum. Just
yes, so each year I change religions. Last year I was Muslim, and it was interesting. And
now
this
is
year I'm Luciferianist.
is that a real, like, do you really get into studying in that way, or are you just joking?
I'm serious. I'm talking. I really do have that kind of uh,
Oh,
approach
that's that's
to
cool.
religion.
Yeah.
But
And do you
teacher,
like the
go
the
ahead.
Lucifer? Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Let me say like that. The vengeance part is interesting. I have learned a lot with them about this. So they have a
you
totally
find
different.
some the group? The
Yes, there is one in Rio de Janeiro.
oh,
I
I'm
can
Rio de
send it.
Janeiro. That
I can send them to you if you want to. They will do dark.
I find this very amusing.
Okay, about vengeance, I'm learning a lot with them, and about demons and Satan and Lucifer. They are different, and there's a different approach that they use to them. They are not good people, and they don't pretend to be. So they are very sincere and honest. They
In
don't
their
hide anything.
awfulness.
Yes, they don't hide.
That's funny.
We we do bad things and we do good things. We are just humans. I like that
Yeah.
approach. I'm learning these things with them, but next year I'm going to change to another religion. And you have a question here from teacher Grace Celine. What is Thaisa' profession? I know she said she works in development, but what specifically?
I'm working soft development within the C Sharp, Java, and React.
That's it. And welcome, teacher Grace Celine. Okay, yeah, I changed religions once a year, and previously I was in Judaism as best as I could because they are very restrictive. Previously, before that, I was in Hinduism, and the first one was Catholic, and before that I was evangelical.
Oh, okay. I have experience with Catholicism and also evangelical Christianity. I was raised as a Christian Scientist, like my family was, but it never, like, I never felt like I was because to me, I couldn't really believe in something. I couldn't make myself believe in something, and I couldn't give myself any evidence of all the things that they were saying were true about God. And so I just naturally essentially was an atheist. But I found that I like people's faith. I like their belief. I like that they're passionate about what they believe in. And I think it's very interesting. Do you have a particular philosophy that you really like, Thaisa,
So
or religion?
I grew up on the Catholic, né, em catolicismo, né?
Mm.
So I'm more Catholic, but I'm not the special religion. But I believe in the God and Christ, né, Jesus Christ.
Christ.
Mm. Yeah.
Yes, yes, but not
Oh, okay.
specially, not specific.
I understand. Do you have a favorite writer? Like, is there somebody who, when they talk about the world or they talk about life, that their viewpoints align with yours the most or feel the most resonant? I don't know if that word is going to make sense. Resonant.
Oh, I'm not understand very well.
Um, what I mean is like when you read what they say, does it feel true to you? And it feels like how you feel about things. Like maybe you read what they say and you go, "Oh yeah, I didn't know that I saw things that way, but now I know that's how I really feel about the world."
Não sei se eu entendi muito bem ainda.
Algo que quando você lê, você sente que é para você, que é uma verdade que te atrai. Algo que
Na
você
verdade, no
lê,
geral, né?
é uma coisa que você acha fascinante e se sente atraída por aquilo, de alguma forma.
Yeah, I think is this.
Any specific book, example?
Yeah.
Tá, se algum livro específico que eu leio, sinto isso.
Ou talvez algum autor, pode ser até vídeos de pessoas que falam de assuntos mais profundos e você gosta muito daquele tema.
Ou sobre religião ainda, né? No caso.
Pode ser também. Ou espiritualismo em geral.
Yeah.
So I'm read the recently the book I don't know saying the English, but in Portuguese is O Poder do Subconsciente.
The
The
power of
power of the science mind.
the power of the subconscious mind.
De
Oh.
Joseph Mouth, né?
Joseph Murphy.
Yes.
It's a classic from self-help book. I have read that a couple of years ago. It's really interesting. Do you know this book, Andrew?
I don't, but that's very interesting because I've thought about that topic recently. I like to talk to the like Google's AI and stuff. And I think that the way artificial intelligence is structured is a lot like an unconscious mind or a subconscious mind, where there are these patterns that are recognized, and there is an intelligence that comes simply from the patterns themselves that sort of exists in its own way, like a subroutine or something like that. And there are truths in it, and there are also sort of there are emotional qualities to it too, and that all of that can tell us something about ourselves.
What do you think about the term superconscious instead of subconscious or unconscious?
Are you asking me, or do you have an answer, Thaisa?
Acho que perguntou para
Um,
quem você perguntou.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Thaisa, if you want to, or Andrew. Have you guys thought about this terminology, subconscious or unconscious? It came from Freud. He created those terms, but I think the proper
did
way to
Jung come do superconscious? Was that him?
Jung, he talked about the collective unconscious, but it's not something specific for the individual. But the superconscious that I'm thinking about is relative to the individual. But nowadays, it's called subconscious or unconscious, which implies that it's something suboptimal or not really important because it's unconscious. But I think the proper
Oh,
way
yeah.
to refer to them is superconscious because
I
they are aware of everything that we have come across.
I think both terms have a quality that is accurate, because I don't think that the subconscious will stay the subconscious, but for a lot of people, we call it the subconscious because it's something that is somewhere in our awareness, but we have not fully become conscious of it yet. And so it's subconscious to us. And then when you realize what it is, like a habit or a pattern of some kind, then it does become conscious and it's no longer subconscious. But I think in terms of like um, the idea that there is a higher form of order in the subconscious than there is in the conscious mind, it is because there is something in the subconscious that you need to integrate in order for it to become conscious. And then when you do that, you are of a higher order because you are more integrated, you have more integration of understanding of yourself.
Really good. Okay, do you guys want to say something else? I think we covered lots of topics and we talked a lot. That was the objective, that we can talk in English. And thank you, Andrew. Have you created your account on italki?
I haven't. I saw that it looks like there's a couple of different places where I can potentially make an account. Um, so I'm going to try and figure out
Okay,
seems like the best.
Create on all of them, and I will help you set up your profile there, because there is some tricks to do that. And
Oh,
sometimes you
thank
need
you.
to send your presentation in video format. There also have some tricks to do that as well properly. So I will help you with that. So with your account in place, I can promote it in this live stream and the shorts and reels that I'm going to create uh, with this live stream. So this entire live stream, I will cut them in many pieces, and with each one of them, I can promote your iTalk or other account for teaching English as a foreign
Oh,
or
thank
to
you
a
so
foreign
much.
student. So it's a way of promoting your work as a teacher. And I will also mention to my students that you are available to teach them if they hire you. Okay.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'd be happy to help anybody who thinks I might be good to talk to.
Yes, just by talking in English with them and the fact that you are a native speaker, that makes all the difference. So they are going to have a high quality source. The pedagogical things and ways of teaching and so on, I can also provide you with some documents from some linguistics and so on. It's just to have a theoretical basis in case anyone else asks for it. But the main point is you are a native speaker and you are willing to teach everyone that is willing to learn English. That's the main point.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Inocencio is one of my
thank you.
students. Nice talk. And I will end this stream right now. I will just talk briefly with Thaisa, and then I will call you Andrew. We can talk later. Okay.
That
Today.
sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you
all.
for
Go ahead.
thank you, Taisa, for talking with me as
Thank
well.
you, Thaisa.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Okay. I'm